Pumping should never be painful. I even wore my red shirt for this video because I'm ready for a fight. If your nipples are sore, cracked, or swollen, that's not something you just have to push through. If you're new to this channel, my name is Allison Tolman. I'm an IBCLC and a breast pump expert. And today we're going to be breaking down why pumping hurts, what's normal and what's not, and how to fix it. Because pain is never just part of the process, okay? It's always a sign that something needs adjusting. There's an idea out there that breastfeeding is painful for the first couple of weeks and then it gets better. Well, that's a frustrating myth in and of itself. I understand where it comes from. Breastfeeding is a learned skill for two different people, you and your baby. You're trying to do it at the same time. Not only are you learning how to feed your baby, but your baby is also learning how to eat, which brings its own set of challenges. But pumping is a totally different story. Pumping is mechanical and predictable. There's no baby to coordinate with, no new skill that your body has to learn, which means pain is not normal and never something to just get used to. Now, some sensations are completely expected. You'll feel tugging, you'll feel some gentle pressure. Suction on your nipple, right? Especially as the pump is drawing milk. During a letdown, some people will feel light pins and needles, sensations like that, maybe even down your arms. That's your milk ejection reflex kicking in, and that's totally normal. Anything beyond that is a red flag that something needs adjusting. Here's what you should watch out for. Cracked or bleeding nipples should have no broken skin. Pinching, swelling, or friction rings after pumping. Sharp, stabbing, or burning pain, shiny or blistered skin, sores, cracks, or blanching, which is when the top of the nipple kind of turns white or sometimes purple. All of those things point to something is not right. This can possibly lead to tissue damage as well, so it's really important to troubleshoot and fix. Now, what causes these symptoms? There are a few common issues that we see very often with our students, including using the wrong flange size, suction that's too high, pumping for too long, or poor nipple alignment in the flange. Now, I see some moms might hear this and think, that's not a big deal. I can handle a little pain after all I've been through, and at least I'm getting milk out. And chances are you could push through it because you're tough. You just gave birth to a human, and moms and women are incredible. But just remember that when you're in pain, it's a sign that tissue damage may be happening. Your body also releases stress hormones that make letdowns harder and milk flow slower, even if you have a high pain tolerance and can push through it. So not only will you be in pain, but you'll also probably have reduced milk output and a more frustrating pumping experience. Let's fix that. Today, I really want to focus in on the most common issue that I see and the easiest one to fix, honestly, which is flange sizing. I did a webinar recently, which I'll link down below for you because it was awesome. And we walked through the process of flange sizing and I showed you real pictures of nipples. Those who joined us live loved that section. I can't put real nipple photos on YouTube. They get really mad at me for that. And we have even more in-depth information in the actual courses that we have too, but start with that webinar. It was awesome. Flange sizing is everything when it comes to pumping comfort and output. But it's one of the most common issues out there simply because most moms don't really understand how to measure their nipples, how to experiment with their flange sizes, what it should look like under suction. It's more complex than just putting on one of those silly circular rulers and saying, oh, there's the number, that's my size. It's complex. Go watch that webinar, okay? Also, let's just throw this out there that pumps usually come with two different sizes of flanges, usually a 24 to 28 or 21 and a 24, but breasts and nipples come in literally hundreds, thousands of different sizes, shapes, and textures. Over the last, a lot of years working with moms, I've seen a lot of variety. So if you're expecting to fit into one of those two flanges that you received with your pump, just know that the odds are that it's not in your favor. I have had very few clients who have ended up in a 24. Sometimes it happens for sure, but most of the people that I've worked with have been smaller than that. They often send the big options with the pumps because they can, fit everyone, right? Which is actually not how it works anyway. It's not uncommon that you will need a new flange size, and that's totally okay. We've also had moms take our courses and find out that the measurement that they got from a lactation professional at the hospital was incorrect, and unfortunately, that's not uncommon lactation professionals get no training in pumping or flange sizing. And flange sizing is a clinical skill. It changes a lot. If you are a professional watching this course, we actually do have training specifically for you. If you're helping clients with that, I'll put it in the description for you. But also, flange sizing rapidly changes in the early weeks. So even if that measurement was right at the hospital after you had your baby, it's probably not right anymore. Breasts are so different and unique in shape, size, and texture. It really takes either a very trained eye or excellent self-knowledge to measure your flange size correctly. And this is the fun part of flange sizing, because flange sizing isn't an exact science. It's more of an art. If there was a simple little formula that you could measure and add some millimeters and that's your size, I would give it to you right now. I promise I would, but that's just not how it works. It's a lot more of an art. It takes some experimenting. Here's a good example. Every mom's nipple elasticity, tissue type, and pump that they have are different. So even if you measure it perfectly on paper, the right size may still need a little bit of adjusting based on how your nipple moves in the tunnel. A flange that's too big or too small can cause rubbing, pulling, swelling, pain. It can make every session miserable. Not to mention it can really affect the output that you get and the speed at which you get it. Actually, we teach a step-by-step process on self-flange sizing and troubleshooting inside our Pumping Efficiently course, which is great. You can learn this skill. And honestly, you should learn it because you're going to need it more than once in your pumping journey. I want you to be able to know what size works best for you right now, what flange style and product works best for you, and how your nipple and milk supply best respond to a particular size. A few things to look for in a well-fitting flange is you want a smooth glide. All right, so your nipples should be able to move freely in the tunnel without the areola getting pulled in or the nipple slamming up against the back wall. It's okay if it touches the sides as long as it's not pinching or rubbing and you're feeling pain there, but hopefully it's not stretching clear to the back. You also want to see letdowns happening easily and you want comfort. Any pain, even a little pinch, is a sign that it's not quite right. And once you find your perfect fit, you won't be married to it forever. You'll use this flange sizing skill more than once because your body and your nipples change over time. Sometimes after getting in a better size, I've seen swelling in the areola that was kind of even hard to see go down and the nipple all of a sudden becomes closer to its normal size and then a resizing is needed. I've even seen students have to do that multiple times in the first month or so of learning how to do that because they had so much swelling and their nipple was so inflamed and they didn't even realize it. This is common also in early postpartum. You may have more swelling from birth or need a slightly larger size. And then after the hormones and birth swelling kind of calms down, most moms downsize within the first couple weeks. Different pumps may also need a different fit. They function all a little bit differently. So if you change your pump a few weeks in, or if you use a wearable pump, or if there's a good chance that you're gonna need a different flange size or style, and that's totally normal. So just to be clear, you're not failing if your flange size changes. You're just tuning in to the setup of your body. So as your body adjusts to pumping, if you start to notice a decrease in your milk supply, make sure you measure your flange size. Again, I don't ever want you to jump to a conclusion that something is wrong with your body, especially if you're pumping. A lot of times it's part of the pumping process or techniques that needs a little bit of adjusting. Let me tell you about one of our students. We'll call her Alex. Alex came to us convinced that she was just extra sensitive, that pumping always hurt. Turns out her flange sizes were 2 sizes too large. Once she sized down and adjusted her suction settings a little bit, she said, "I can't believe this is what pumping is supposed to feel like." And her milk output went up by 2 ounces a session. It was low to start with, but it drastically increased. Again, her supply didn't increase, the output, the amount she was able to get out of milk that was already sitting there. That's how much of a difference the right flange fit can make. We don't always see such drastic changes, but it just depends on how poorly pumping is going already. And I think the key point here is that sometimes you don't know, especially until you find what it's supposed to be like. Okay, here's a nugget for you, all right? If you've experienced pain with pumping, chances are someone has told you to just use coconut oil or a pumping lubricant to make it more comfortable. And the truth is, sometimes that can help temporarily with discomfort, especially if your skin is healing from trauma. But you need to be really careful here because lubricant changes how your nipple moves and stretches inside the flange. So it can actually interfere with the suction and functionality and lead to less milk removal. Not to mention, it could just cover up a bigger issue. You'll slap on some lubricant and think, oh, pumping doesn't hurt anymore. I'm all good now. But then you never really fix the real problem you might be experiencing with your pump, like having the wrong flange size or using suction settings that are too strong for you. In a well-fitting flange with gentle, effective suction, you shouldn't need lubricant at all. If you do, use it sparingly and only as a short-term tool for troubleshooting. In the courses that I teach for students, we don't recommend lubricant. Okay, so that just should tell you if that's a necessary part of your experience, there's probably something else that needs fixed here. Now, you'll probably be surprised by what I'm about to say next, but the most dangerous spot you can be in with your pumping is when it feels fine. When the pain is, or discomfort or sensations that you're feeling is just tolerable enough to where you think, I can handle it. And this is probably how pumping should feel. This one surprises moms all the time. I'll hear things like, pumping doesn't hurt, it feels fine. Then after learning how to properly evaluate their flange size and tweak a few settings, they suddenly realize how much better it can feel. One student actually said to me, I thought I was fine before. I didn't realize how much room for improvement there was. There's a big difference between tolerating pumping and actually enjoying it and doing it correctly, or at least feeling calm and confident while you're doing it. When everything fits well, your pumping sessions are faster, more comfortable, and you get better output with less effort. These are also not just buzzwords, this actually happens. You should never find yourself trying to just get through a pumping session. Pumping should always be comfortable enough to allow you to relax and feel calm. Okay, so here's a quick recap of what is normal and what isn't. It is normal to feel a gentle tugging, pressure, not pain, and a light tingling with a letdown. And here's what's not normal: sharp pinching or stabbing pain, even a little bit, cracks, blisters, or bleeding, swelling or shiny nipples, and pain that lasts after pumping. I'm curious, based on those criteria, how would you rate your pumping experience? Do you think you have any room for improvement here? Let me know in the comments if you've tried any of the tips I've shared in this video, or if you found any relief in your pumping sessions, or if you resonate with any of those red flags. If you are feeling any of those red flag symptoms, that's your body saying, hey, something's not quite right, and you can fix it. If you want to be free of pain when pumping, make sure to check your flange size regularly, try a lower suction setting, and make sure that your nipple is centered carefully before turning on the pump. Watch for friction rings or swelling afterward, and skip lubricants unless it's absolutely necessary, and then again, only temporarily. When you combine the right flange fit with the right pump settings, pumping becomes predictable, comfortable, and productive. If you're still feeling unsure, if you want a step-by-step plan to pump more milk in less time with more comfort, calm, and confidence, that's exactly what I teach in the webinar that is linked down below. If you're ready to just skip straight to the step-by-step, teach me how to do self-flange sizing, that is detailed in our Pumping Efficiently course. You'll learn how to flange size yourself accurately, adjust your pump for comfort and output, troubleshoot pain before it even starts. It really is the foundation that makes everything about pumping easier. It makes letdowns easier, it makes pumping sessions better, you can get milk out faster. Flange sizing is a really important step, and you can learn to do it yourself. If you've been struggling with pain while pumping, I just want you to know that there's nothing wrong with your body. It's not your fault, and it's definitely not something you have to live with. If this video helped you today, make sure you subscribe for more weekly pumping guidance, because we put out videos like this every week. And again, check out that webinar in the description. It has some really good information and actual photos for you on flange sizing, as well as addressing all the other important parts of the Proficient Pumping Pyramid, which is our unique methodology to help you pump more milk in less time. Thanks for watching, and as always, happy pumping.